Welcome back to the Philthy Werks podcast, where curiosity is mandatory. We're diving headfirst into the digital abyss today, exploring a topic that's both fascinating and terrifying: artificial intelligence. Are we on the verge of a utopian future or a robot ruled dystopia? We're looking at AI through the lens of GenX sci fi and comparing it to the reality we're facing today. Let's get filthy. As a Gen Xer, we grew up on a steady diet of sci fi that painted some pretty vivid pictures of artificial intelligence. Think Terminator, RoboCop, War Games, and The Matrix. These movies shaped our perception of what artificial intelligence could be: powerful, dangerous, and often hell bent on destroying humanity.
I'll be back.
The Terminator franchise, with its relentless cyborg assassin from the future, ingrained the fear of artificial intelligence becoming self aware and turning against its creators. Skynet, the artificial intelligence system that triggers nuclear war, became a cultural touchstone for AI gone wrong. From a Gen X perspective, the Terminator franchise and its depiction of Skynet tapped into several pre existing anxieties and fears, amplifying them in a way that resonated deeply with my generation. The loss of control or autonomy. We became of age during a period of rapid technological advancement, but also during the Cold War, where the threat of a nuclear annihilation felt very real. The Terminator combined these anxieties, presenting a scenario where technology, designed to protect us, ultimately becomes the source of our destruction. Well, this resonated with us. We already had a sense of powerlessness against larger forces. The idea of machines taking control, of humanity losing its agency, was a potent fear. Mistrust of authority and the system. Gen X is often characterized by a healthy skepticism towards authority and the established system. Skynet, initially created by the military, represents a system gone horribly wrong. This reinforced the Gen X distrust of large institutions and the potential for well intentioned projects to have disastrous consequences. The idea that those in power could create something that would ultimately destroy them and everyone else was a chilling prospect. Fear of technological overreach. The 80s and 90s saw the rise of personal computers, the internet, and other technologies that were rapidly changing society. Terminator played on the fear that we were becoming too reliant on technology and that this dependence could be our downfall. The idea that technology could not only become independent but actively hostile resonated with our generation, witnessing rapid technological change. Existential dread and nuclear anxiety. As mentioned, the Cold War loomed large during Gen X's formative years. The threat of nuclear war was a constant backdrop. Skynet triggering a nuclear holocaust in Terminator directly tapped into this existing anxiety. The film visualized the worst case scenario, making the abstract threat of nuclear war feel terrifyingly real and imminent. The what if factor. Terminator presented a plausible, at least in scientific or sci fi context, chain of events that could lead to AI taking over. This what if factor was crucial to its impact. It wasn't just a monster movie, it was a cautionary tale about the potential consequences of our own creations. This resonated with Gen X's tendency to question the status quo and consider alternative outcomes. In essence, Terminator didn't create these fears out of thin air. It synthesized existing Gen X anxieties about technology, authority, and the future, packaging them into a compelling and terrifying narrative. Skynet became the symbol of all of these fears, a cultural shorthand of AI gone wrong, and the touchstone for a generation grappling with a rapidly changing world.
Shall we play a game?
Then there was War Games, which explored the potential for AI to take control of critical systems, much like that they're talking about today. In this case, nuclear launch codes. It highlighted the dangers of entrusting too much power to machines, even with good intentions. From a Gen X perspective, War Games resonated with a different set of anxieties than Terminator, although there's some overlap. Mistrust of authority and the government. As discussed before, Gen X has a strong streak of skepticism towards institutions. Wargames tapped into this by showing how easily and seemingly secure government systems could be compromised. The fact that the system was designed for national defense only amplified the concern. The message was clear. Even those meant to protect us could create vulnerabilities that could lead to disaster. This fed into a broader distrust of authority figures and their ability to manage complex systems. Fear of accidental nuclear war. While Terminator depicted a deliberate act of AI-initiated nuclear war, Wargames presented a more chilling scenario: accidental nuclear war triggered by a computer error. Well, this resonated deeply with us who grew up under the constant threat of a mutually assured destruction scenario. The idea that a simple mistake, a glitch in a system, could lead to a global catastrophe was terrifyingly plausible. It wasn't about a malevolent AI. It wasn't about the fallibility of human systems and the potential for unintended consequences. Wargames highlighted the rapid pace of technological advancement and the potential for humans to be ill prepared for its consequences. The characters, even the computer whiz David Lightman, are somewhat naive about the true capabilities of the War Operation Plan Response computer. This reflected a broader societal anxiety about keeping up with the rapid changes in technology. Gen X was witnessing the dawn of the personal computer era, and Wargames suggested that we might not fully understand the power of the tools that we were creating. The danger of automation and dehumanization. The film subtly explored the dangers of automating critical decisions, particularly those related to war. By entrusting nuclear launch codes to a computer, humans were essentially removing themselves from the decision-making process. This raised concerns about dehumanizing and the potential for machines to make decisions without considering the human costs. This resonated with us, already feeling alienated in a rapidly changing world. While the film highlights the potential for disaster, it also shows how an individual, the character David, can intervene and prevent it. This offered a glimmer of hope to an agency, which resonated with the Gen X desire to make a difference. However, the caveat is that David's intervention was only possible because he understood the technology. This underscored the importance of technological literacy in a rapidly automating world. In summary, Wargames resonated with Gen X by tapping into fears of accidental nuclear war, distrust of authority, and anxieties about a rapid pace of technological change. It presented a more nuanced and realistic portrayal of AI than Terminator, focusing on the potential for human error and the unintended consequences of automation rather than a full-blown artificial intelligence rebellion. This made the film's message even more chilling and relevant to the generation grappling with complexities of the modern world.
Dead or alive, you are coming with me.
RoboCop presented a different angle: the integration of artificial intelligence and human consciousness, raising questions about what it means to be human and ethics of enhancing or replacing human capabilities with technology. RoboCop resonated with Gen X on a number of levels, particularly concerning the integration of AI and human consciousness. Well, here's a breakdown from our perspective. Corporate greed and corruption. RoboCop paints a bleak picture of the near-future Detroit ravaged by crime and controlled by a powerful, immoral corporation, OCP, Omni Consumer Products. This resonated with Gen X's cynicism towards large institutions and their perceived focus on profit over people. We're seeing a lot of that today, aren't we? The film suggests that unchecked corporate power can lead to the erosion of public service, increased social inequality, and even the exploitation of human life for technological advancement. This resonated with a generation that witnessed the rise of corporate power during the 80s and 90s. The loss of identity and individuality. The transformation of Alex Murphy into RoboCop raises profound questions about identity and what it means to be human. While RoboCop retains some of the fragmented memories of his past life, he is essentially a new entity, programmed and controlled by OCP. This resonated with Gen X's anxieties about conformity and the potential loss of individuality in a rapidly changing, increasingly technological world. The idea of being stripped of one's identity and becoming a tool of a larger system was a potent fear. Ethical dilemmas of technological enhancement. RoboCop explored the ethical implications of enhancing human capabilities with technology. While RoboCop is undeniably more effective at fighting crime than a regular police officer, he was pretty freaking badass. This transformation comes at a significant cost: his humanity. This raises the questions about the limits of technological intervention and whether the potential benefits outweigh the ethical concerns. This resonated with a generation grappling with the rapid advancements in biotechnology and the potential for genetic engineering and other forms of human enhancement. The blurring of lines between human and machine. The film blurs the lines between human and machine, forcing viewers to confront the question of whether one ends or where the other begins. RoboCop is neither fully human nor fully machine. He is a hybrid, a cyborg. This resonated with Gen X's fascination with cyberpunk themes and our exploration of the relationship between humans and technology. The film suggested that the increasing integration of technology into our lives could lead to a fundamental shift in our understanding of what it means to be human. RoboCop's struggle with fragmented memories and emotional distress can be interpreted as a depiction of PTSD and the psychological impact of trauma. While this resonated with our generation that witnessed the rise of awareness about mental health issues and the long-term effects of violence, the film suggests that even technological enhancements cannot erase the emotional scars of traumatic experiences. From a Gen X perspective, RoboCop wasn't just an action movie. It was a cautionary tale about the dangers of unchecked corporate power, the loss of individuality, and the ethical dilemmas of technological advancement. It tapped into anxieties about blurring the lines between human and machine, and the potential consequences for prioritizing technology over humanity. This made the film particularly relevant to a generation grappling with the complexities of a rapidly changing world, just like today.
Do you want to know what it is?
And of course, The Matrix blew our minds with the concept of artificial intelligence creating a simulated reality to enslave humanity. It explored the philosophical questions about consciousness, free will, and the nature of reality itself. The Matrix deeply resonated with Gen X on a philosophical and cultural level, tapping into several anxieties and experiences. Questioning reality and authority. Gen X is known for its skepticism and tendency to question established norms and institutions. The Matrix took this to a whole nother extreme, suggesting that reality itself could be a fabrication controlled by a higher power, in this case AI. Thanks, Google. This resonated with a generation already questioning the narratives presented by mainstream media and government. The film validated the feelings that things might not be as they seem and encouraged a deeper examination of the world around them. Feeling disconnected and alienated. Growing up in a rapidly changing world, Gen X often felt a sense of disconnection and alienation. The Matrix mirrored this feeling by depicting a world where most people are unknowingly trapped in a simulated reality, oblivious to the true nature of their existence. Well, this resonated with the Gen X experience of feeling like an outsider for not quite fitting in. The idea of being plugged in, but not truly connected to reality, was a powerful metaphor for the anxieties of a generation coming of age in the digital age. The search for meaning and purpose. The Matrix explores existential themes of free will, choice, and the search for meaning in a seemingly meaningless world. This resonated with our tendency to question traditional values and search for our own individual paths. The choices offered to Neo, the red pill or the blue pill, became a cultural touchstone for choosing truth and awareness over comfortable ignorance. This resonated with us and our desire for authenticity and a rejection of superficiality, technological dependence, and control. While not as overtly as the Terminator, The Matrix also addresses the dangers of technological dependence. The film depicts a future where humanity is completely reliant on AI, even for basic survival, ultimately leading to their enslavement. The Matrix embraced cyberpunk aesthetics and themes which were already popular with the GenX culture. The film's dystopian setting, virtual reality elements, and focus on hacking and rebellion resonated with our generation, drawn to the cyberpunk genre's exploration of technology, social alienation, and corporate power and greed. Paranoia and conspiracy theories. The film's premise, that reality is a simulation, tapped into the growing trend of paranoia and conspiracy theories that were prevalent in the 90s. This resonated with our cynicism and distrust of authority, making the idea of a hidden reality controlled by a powerful force seem disturbingly plausible. In essence, The Matrix struck a chord with our generation by exploring deep philosophical questions about reality, free will, and the nature of consciousness within a compelling and visually stunning action film. It validated our skepticism, our sense of alienation, and our desire for meaning in a world that often felt confusing and uncertain. The film became a cultural phenomenon not just because of the special effects, but because it tapped into the anxieties and experiences of a generation grappling with the complexities of the late 20th century and the dawn of the digital age. Thanks, Neo. Now let's fast forward to today. Are we facing Skynet anytime soon? Consensus is probably not, but I'm not so sure about that. AI is rapidly evolving. We have AI-powered everything from recommendation algorithms on streaming services to self-driving cars, and a refrigerator that will order your groceries because it knows that you're out. We have generative AI creating images, text, and even music. And many of the prior episodes to this podcast is all artificially intelligence created podcasting, from the scripting to the topic to the voices. All the previous episodes on this podcast is generated through Google's artificial intelligence. Unlike the monolithic, world-dominating AIs of our movies, today's AI is more specialized. It performs specific tasks incredibly well, but it lacks the general intelligence and consciousness of the fictional AIs that we grew up with. And that might not be far-fetched. But there are still concerns. Job displacement due to automation is a real issue. The spread of misinformation and deepfakes generated by AI is a growing problem. There are many fraud accounts that criminals are using artificial intelligence to commit fraud. And the ethical implications of AI bias and the algorithm decision making are still being debated. Do you like a computer analyzing exactly what you search, what you listen to, what you eat, to give you the results that it thinks that you want? We need to have an open and honest conversation about the ethical implications of artificial intelligence. We need to develop regulations and safeguards to prevent its misuse. And we need to be aware of the potential consequences of this powerful technology. That's all for this episode on Philthy Werks podcast. Join us next time as we delve into another corner of the strange and fascinating world we live in. Until then, stay curious and keep it filthy.